Good morning. Okay, so our past doesn't necessarily define who we are, but it helps to develop who we are today. We need to take that we can learn from our past and apply things today to become a stronger and better person. When you have to stop with the poor me's and start with the what can I do to improve? What can I do to get to the next level of where I need to be? So, we all have things that happened in our upbringings, some wonderful and some life building. I take the approach that what has happened in our past is how we are. We learn from our past, so we do not stay idle in our past, though. We have to learn and move on from our past. So, I was a very timid child. Up until about school age. I was a little tidbit. I was the 1% that was wrong on the test. So my dad started filling out the birth certificate before I was born, and he put Scott down. So my mom added IE to it, and my middle name, Lori. And growing up, I was called Lori all the way up until kindergarten. Now, I was a very scared child. Up to about 4 is where I started to learn not to show that. But I would burst out in tears if somebody said one word to me up to that point. So yes, still shy, still didn't talk at all. But by about age 4, I started to learn to just hold it in and not show emotions or fear or anything to anyone else. Now, when I started kindergarten, they did roll call. And I'm sitting there again. Remember, I learned not to really show my fear to others, but I'm sitting there, they're calling out roll call, and they called Scotty. Afterwards, they asked, did we miss anyone's name? And I raised my hand. So I was promptly advised that, no, your name is not Lori, your name is Scotty, and that is what you will go by. So, yeah, that's something that I actually do hold on to this day. There are very few people that I will call by something other than their first name, because that's how they were introduced to me or something different. But I'm very, very adamant about this is your name, this is what you must go by. Now, I do a lot of payrolls and stuff too. So, yeah, you can't go by a nickname and tell me how many hours to pay somebody. But that's another story. But I learned that right then. Boom, your name is Scotty. That is what you will go by. It is not allowed to go by anything else. And so that's something that was like, for me at that time, being in kindergarten, being as shy as I was like a slap in the face. And I just sat there, holding it all in. But I, to this day, obviously can remember it as being a pretty devastating situation on that part. Okay, so my mom divorced my dad at a young age, and so she worked really, really hard for us. Okay, she was always working, and she needed a life too. So we spent a lot of time in both public and private care. So through that, not always the greatest caregivers, not always the greatest situations come about. Things that have happened that my mom did not know, because I also, like I said, she worked really hard and learned at a very young age to not to try to bring up things that would, upset her or hurt her too at the same time. So there's things that have happened that she does not know and will not know about. There's things that very few people know about. So, but she worked hard to raise us, and we spent a lot of time in public and private care. I was the youngest in like this group of people where we would always hang out. So we would be dropped off at like this park area. I mean, yeah, back then you get dropped off at a park that has like a recreation thing, and you just were supposed to go inside and stay there all day long. Yeah, well, we would go there, we would wander off and do whatever. So I was about 8 years old in that group of people, but I was just learning more and more to stand my ground and to not show fear or hurt or anything. I have scars on my hands from all the sissy games. That's where you rub the eraser on your hands and thing. I would win every single one of those. Arm wrestling, everything that would come across. I was like the youngest one, but would take on anyone that came up at me. and everything there. So we learned from that, and through that, I also had to learn to protect my older sister. She's 18 months older than me. Yeah, 18 months older than me. So I learned that I had to protect my older sister, who became the subject of bullying through school. So I would step in and either take the beating or prevent the beating, one way or another. Thought for sure I was going to get put in like suspension one time when somebody did something and I turned around and just stomped on his foot and brought my knee right on up. So I guess I learned how to defend myself. Don't do that. But I had to do that, and that, so emotions and pains were not something that I was allowed to show to other people, and it's something that I've had to hold in. I've learned that you are not supposed to be heard. You're only supposed to be seen and to be quiet. And that's where I was. I was just very small, short, shy, very quiet. Didn't say much words to anybody else on that. And I've built this wall up to kind of protect my heart and where I was. And I wouldn't let anybody in. So through school and everything, everybody has these wonderful friends. And I had some really great friends and everything too. However, I never let anybody get close. Whenever anybody was get close, I'd like shift gears. So you never knew where I was going to be in school one point or another. I was either with, when I went to high school, there was a smokers hill, okay? So I was either with the smokers, or you can call them stoners. With them, I was with the prep people, I was with the people playing football, I was over, I was all over the place. Band, the Christian groups, you never knew where I was, because it's like, where did I feel comfortable today? That's where I would end up going at that point in time, and just hanging out with people. Just kind of going around and everything, but not letting anybody get really close to me. I felt that up, and that was who I was. So I've had to do a lot to kind of turn this around and to learn and grow and to let others in throughout the years. And that's where I've been working on it. I can sit here and say, no, you don't do this, because if you let these people in, things are going to happen. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be great. Or I could say, no, I keep my guard up whenever I first meet somebody, but let them in, let them know a little bit. Sometimes I'll let them in, let them know a little bit, and then something happens and a step, like 5 steps backwards, and then slowly come back again and everything. And it takes a lot for me to trust someone. Trust is not something that I freely give. I come around and then give it to someone as time goes. So again, that's something that I have to learn, to just really trust the ability to be there and to not worry so much. Take those echoing words that you're not good enough out of the head, and know that you are good enough for this. So I'm not trying to play the pity party. Obviously not. No. This is not the take from this, okay? So the take from this is not that we could play the pity party when things go wrong, or instead we need to pull the good out of them. So a tough upbringing does not mean poor me. It means we learn how to dig deep, how to pull from our inner strengths, and we learn to find the joy in the simple things to make it worth it, okay? So this is just the first little pause of what has made me into who I am today. There's going to be next week, I'm going to do like some in-between things of different things, but so I'll come back tomorrow or the next day, I don't know again, but that's not going to be on the same area. So next Monday, I'll try to have up of the transition into like the high school and into the motherhood at a very young age. Also being married at a very young age, and what I have learned through that portion of my life. And again, how I apply what I've learned into where I am now currently. So currently, we can take what you've gone through. You learn through it. It's not going to be gone from your head. It's not going to be like you're not going to get pulled back and have those feelings again. No, you're going to. But when you feel those feelings coming on, you need to learn how to change it, how to rewrite the script, okay? Don't let your past run your future, but learn from your past. Take what you've gained from it and apply it where needed today. Make what happened make you stronger, not weaker.